first of all, as I said to you offline, happy birthday.
Thank you.
You are 49 years old
49
today?
years old, so one more year in my 40s.
I'm 46, and I don't know if you find this as well, but I do find myself getting very reflective of
sure.
the life that has been to date. I have not yet bought a Ferrari, but I think I've avoided midlife crisis. But what I wanted to ask you is,
I want to ask her if you avoided all the midlife crisis.
Yes, I would say.
Kind
It's
of.
been good?
Yeah, it's
Yeah?
been very good.
Yeah. No motorbikes?
No,
No.
just an M3, but then that was a bit of a disaster,
Yeah.
so I let him off on that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Well, it
good.
wasn't a disaster. I'm getting a new one.
Oh.
But yeah, that I need to get myself something before I turn 50. So.
Yeah. But I love the 40s. It's like this free decade you got,
Yeah.
In the 20s you worry about, I'm turning 30 in a bit, yeah. What to do? I haven't established my life. And then the next big worrisome part is like, I'm turning 50 years old. What the fuck? I'm getting old. So that nice bracket there in the 40s, it seems like a decade you got for free,
It's also, I think, especially for me as a man, you've learned a fair bit about yourself and about life by the time that you turn 40. And so I find I've actually enjoyed my 40s so far a lot more than I enjoyed my 30s.
Yeah.
My 30s was very chaotic, and then when you're in your 20s, most of the time you're pretty dirt poor. So
Those
you
were
have
the worst.
you've got aspirations, but you can't actually. You're not going to meet those aspirations necessarily.
No, I don't know.
What do you think about when you think about your life and your career today? What's like the first word that comes to mind?
No, I don't know if there's a first word. Like even when people call it a career, just think it's such a weird word, because it's not really a career, right? I don't put the suit on and go to the office. It's just something I happen to do and happen to be, right? And it stuck with me, and it has no choice, Like it is part of me, and luckily it gets me places, Like I don't know if that's due to the timing or actually what I've done content-wise, or maybe a mix of that, But so it's kind of part of who you are and what you do, and now we're here,
I had read that you, when you were young, traveled around a lot, and you lived in Sweden. You spent some time living in India. Back to Sweden, back to Norway. Having that exposure to different cultures and just those, I would say especially India versus Sweden and Norway. I was in Mumbai for a week the other day, and it is a culture shock. Like if you've never been there, you wouldn't believe. But how did those shape you artistically?
I think I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it or dissecting it down, but it's fairly obvious it has some effect, right? How you view music, and maybe in the end this is why Dødheimsgard is slightly bit different than like the average frost-bitten winter traveling forestry black metal band,
So last night, first show or first time doing Fortress.
Yeah.
One of the things that I had initially thought when I heard Black Medium Current for the first time, one of the first things that popped into my head is, how on earth do you translate this to the stage?
Yeah.
And the thing that, before I ask a question, let me ask you just how did you generally feel about how last night's show went?
It feels like it went great, right? You can only, you're so wrapped up and caught up in the moment. So I'm not really thinking about if the guitarist is not playing any mistakes, or if the drummer is on time, just caught up in the moment. But judging by the connection with the audience, which is my meter, which is kind of my, this is what I see, from the stage perspective, I would say that it was really heartfelt and a big success, right?
Yeah. Undoubtedly. If you look at the comments just on the Fortress Facebook group, people were completely blown away, as frankly was I. And I think there were a couple of things that really stood out to me about the show. Number one is the fact that you're not allowed on camera, mate.
Thank you, brother.
Number one was experiencing that album live in the way that you guys presented it with the light show and everything else, it felt in many ways like I was almost able to inhabit the music.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like sometimes you can experience an atmosphere, you can experience a vibe, but with this it was like I felt like I was inhabiting the world that you wanted me to inhabit.
Yeah, and I guess for me, there's no better compliment than that for pertaining to this album, because it's that's what went into the music in the first place. You know, it being immersive. You know, like a universe you kind of step into. So if we succeeded 50% of that, I'm really happy to hear it.
Yeah.
So for you guys, it was my birthday today, and people bought me too many shots yesterday. So if I'm stuttering a bit on the words, you'd know the reason.
It's not because he's 49, it's because he's hungover.
Yes.
So when you first started thinking about like taking this live, because you guys did this at Roadburn, you've done it the light show and everything like that, you guys created all of that yourself. Just the amount of detail just completely blew me away. I mean, how much planning and how much work went into what the end result was last night?
The thing is, there are a lot of loose threads. It's just like when it's generally nicely put together, you're having your own experience. So when you see something on the screen, or when the smoke comes up and together with the next part of the song or whatever, you are sure in your experience, you're like, sure, this is so planned, but maybe it isn't, you know, just things coinciding. But since it has the same kind of DNA, all of it that's happening on the stage at that point, it all will seem seamless and planned. But actually there are a lot of loose threads there in what we do. What we do plan is what songs we want to perform and how we want them to be perceived, right, or experienced. And but there's so many loose parts, you know. Someone's working with this, someone's working with that, and so there's never at any point. To give you an example, before this show yesterday, we didn't even see each other. You know, like there was no rehearsals for this show. Last time we played the whole Black Medium Current album in any capacity was at Roadburn. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff in the show yesterday that also happens haphazardly. But I think that should be an ingredient of a live performance, you know, because people haven't bought a ticket to listen to your album really loud on a stage. They want to experience something that at least feels authentic and real, right? So.
That is, I am lost for words, because I said to my wife, so my wife is not, as you can tell, she's not dressed in goth garb and the like today, doesn't wear a corset, anything like that. She doesn't listen to this music at all. No. We were talking about the show afterwards, and I said to her, one of the things that blew me away the most, I mean, I love the music and things like that, but I was listening very carefully, and I said to her, there are so many variables on that stage and so many potential points of failure. You've got the backing singers, you know, you've got the band, you know, you've got everything else going on there. And I said almost everything was just note perfect. So you're telling me that wasn't even rehearsed?
No,
I mean, it was fucking, that is incredible.
You know, we live in different countries. We don't really have the chance to meet up in a rehearsal space twice a week. So we need to sort it out differently, how we go about it. So, but we communicate a lot, and you know, it's a shared vision. We all know what to do, how to bring Black Medium Current alive on a stage, basically. Yeah. But, yeah, we have to work differently. So, yeah,
so talk to me a bit about the album. You mentioned something to another friend of mine, Jerry from the Router channel, when he interviewed you at Steelfest, and you were talking about how this initial spark, and this is how I understood the interview, the initial spark for the album started from this image you had of a woman having lost her child and humming this tune to herself to comfort her.
Yeah.
Where that's a very kind of vivid, or it's quite a hard hitting, quite an impactful image to have. Where did that come from?
No, you know, like if you're, I don't know where it comes from. Probably it comes from the Black Medium currents, right? That roam the universe, and makes us feel how we feel. But I think like from what I wanted to achieve on the record, it's kind of to touch something that's really, really primal, and that made me think about this woman in the forest, you know. How many years ago, if it's 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, it doesn't really matter. What matters is her fate, you know, with her dead children. But she's still laboring, so she's still going on with her life. But the interesting part here is the self-soothing, right? She's singing to herself, making melodies, making sounds. So I thought, wow, these sounds, there's some real facticity to them, because we've probably been singing those kind of songs for thousands of years, those self-soothing, you know, and we still do it to this day, you know, when we feel bad or when we feel happy, you know, there's certain archetypes that come out from us, you know. So I wanted to try to find those melodies. What are those, you know? And that was kind of the whole foundation for the Black Medium.
So at what point does that kind of go from idea, concept, into getting to a place where you can start to think, okay, this is starting to form part of a singular art piece, a singular album that I can put out?
It's not that coherent, because of course making music is so layered, and then you also have to share it with so many other aspects of your life. And maybe at some point this idea about the woman and all that, maybe it would have ended up being something I never talked about or chucked out the window as a concept or idea. You never know, right? And how does that correlate with the actual music making? It's also hard to say, you know. So when I listened back to the music I made for Black Medium Current, at some point I guess I felt like, yeah, now I'm getting there. Now I'm feeling those moods, those factual moods that correlates with the feeling I'm trying to convey. But even then, I don't know if that will translate to other people, right? If other people, so it's very layered, you know. It's not a coherent piece of work. I'm not standing in a laboratory, you know, and mixing and drinks together and success.
Yeah.
It's just concepts, and then you try to bring them alive, and in order to bring them alive completely, you also need people to accept that you have achieved it.
Yeah, and it needs to be something that kind of resonates with you before you're willing to put it out into the rest of the world. Do you, as you get older, are you finding it's easier or harder to write music?
I don't know. The question is so vast, you know, and general. I guess I think writing music in general is easier, and writing music that kind of would matter to me is harder, because now I put maybe 10 albums behind, not only in Dødheimsgard, but that I care about, that I care about deeply, that I feel is some sort of storytelling. And of course, maybe there's for all the chapters you've written, maybe there's a bit more difficulty writing a next one. Yeah? I don't know. That's also yet to be experienced and explored, right?
Well, so it's just something that over the years of doing this podcast, I've found fascinating, because there are some bands where they will creatively peak on album 2 or 3.
Yeah.
They'll hit their 40s, 50s, and it's just like they run out of creative steam. They just don't know how to. I don't know whether it's a case of unshackling yourself from what you did before, or how you do it. But there does seem to be fewer guys that reach a certain age or a certain stage of their career that can still tap into this creative reservoir where they are putting out music that still feels essential and still feels vital, and actually still feels like it's a worthy addition to their discography. Like, you know, you're never gonna. I'm not going to put you in a difficult position and throw a band around here, but it's never going to be album. Like people when they talk about that band, they will still talk about the new record. They'll still want to hear songs played live off the new record.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, well, I want to hear songs off Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning, and everything else can fuck off, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've always been interested by what is the difference, like what distinguishes guys that are able to do that from the people that just, as I said, hit that brick wall.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we're also treating those people that hitting the brick wall, as you stated, unfairly. Maybe they want to be,
That's
making that album over and over again or whatever. Maybe that kind of was the peak of their own development, and they want to stay there. So they're doing this ritual over and over again, this reenactment of that period of their life, because that's the period of their life they want to celebrate. So that's why the same output is coming over and over again. So I guess it depends on your desire. My desire was different from the outset, I think that's in part that I can't stand dishonesty, and if I was to pretend that I'm in the same phase of my life for decades and decades and decades, it will feel like I'm just reenacting older parts of my life instead of being who I am today. And that would feel disingenuous to me. And I'm not saying that has to be the same thing for everybody else, So I think that's part of what motivates me to kind of, let's further the story. Let's see where we end up now. Like, and it's not about rejectment, right? It's like, let's take everything we got for the last 30 years and then try to tune that into the next 3 years,
So what is it about music and about the creative process that still excites you, that still makes you want to do more, and still makes you feel like you've got something to say and something to express?
No, I guess you find this because there's things working inside you, your heart and your brain, that you haven't found a better way of a better medium to express it through than music and art. And maybe there are other art forms as well. I can't make sculptures, I can't paint pictures and stuff like that. But I do imagine that probably making music is the most kind of diverse art form there is, So maybe that's the reason why I landed here. And when will that ever not become interesting to you, You will never end that process. It is an unending process by definition. You will never come to the goal line. You will not get any answers, but you will have the medium in which to at least pose the questions.
I definitely think when it comes to when it comes to music, and I might be biased on this, but I do think music hits at you used the word primal earlier. It does hit at it hits you at a very primal, very emotional level, in a way that I think other art forms possibly can, but it certainly hasn't for me. Like, you can watch a movie and be moved by it, but very often, even if you watch the movie and you're moved by a certain scene, it's actually partly the music that's doing it.
It is.
So yeah, music just does operate to me on a slightly deeper level
I agree.
Pretty much most other art forms.
Yeah.
Your creative process, I mean, you've used the words story and things like that quite a lot. How visual are you when you are starting to write music?
Start, mid, beginning, and no, I think I like to some degree to music to feel like a movie, right? Or be cinematic, like bring you up, take you down, make things feel big, make things feel small, and so of course I use the visual aspect to kind of try to correlate that. If you have kind of a vision about the like we talked about the woman in the forest or stuff like that, then you have the narrative in which to dig or explore to see if you can reach that thing that sonically correlates with that vision or that mood, that specific mood. Yeah.
You guys came from, I mean, you came from the black metal genre.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether you still consider yourself necessarily to be part of that world, even though you
But
play black metal
it's
festivals
not a world,
and stuff.
right? It's a different world now
Yeah.
than it was before.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not one thing, this black metal. It's several things. So it depends on what we're talking about. It's not like a 19-year-old band can come now in the punk scene and release an album, and the world will say, yeah, this is the most revolutionary thing that's happened to punk ever. That will never happen. So it's the same thing with black metal, right? So it's a linear thing, but it's cut into pieces and defined by different things in different eras.
Yeah, yeah. The thing that I was going to, and it's actually, you're touching on one of the things I was going to ask you about. There does seem to me, when I think about, black metal in the early days versus probably around maybe like the mid 90s when you put out your debut album,
Yeah.
there was a shift where a lot of bands started to become a lot more creatively expressive and a lot more creatively free and experimental and things like that. What do you think caused that? Do you think there was any one specific thing that led to it?
Ego.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, really?
Of course, that's a motivation. We young people, we all want to be better than each other. We all want to be more creative than each other, and and we never played each other our riffs because we were certain that, oh no, this guy will steal it if I play it to him. He has to wait to hear it on the album. But I think that kind of close-knit, this is a scene, right? Like scene in the right meaning of the words. It's not just people, and I'm not saying anything wrong about that, but it's not people going to festivals and going to buy your band shirt. All that's great, by the way, thank you. But this is, people sitting and scheming, in the pubs and in their one-room apartments. Maybe not even an apartment. Like me, I lived in the rehearsal place, We're scheming, and I want to be better than everybody, And so this ego certainly played a part in the expansive expression of the 90s.
Yeah. How during that time, what were some of the bands that you were looking up to, or that you thought were inspiring and were doing something really interesting and really cool?
No, I think we all were, and that's one of the really, really organic settings of that era, because everything wasn't defined yet. You can say, yeah, that sounds like Mayhem, like a mix between Mayhem and whatever else. So so you're in this cloudy, mushroomy area where things haven't landed yet. It's all still up in the air, and being defined as we speak. So I think like Ulver and Arcturus, Thorns, Mayhem, Darkthrone, Bursum, it's all great. Emperor, and even the newer bands, or the later bands like Twist and it's Vindir, it's all like for their world and their purpose, it's all like definitionally just great, just art popping up at that specific moment,
Which still also holds up today, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that absolutely revere those bands, and there's newer generations being drawn to them as well. When you think about that time, that scene, what do you think outsiders get wrong when they mythologize it, or in the way that they see it? Like, I mean, for me, if you pick up from my accent, I'm from South Africa originally. When I grew up, admiring Norway and the Norwegian music scene from afar, but you do, if you're that removed from it, and you partly you think, I'm never going to be able to go there, but it looks to you like this magical place.
Have you been there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been to Inferno and to Beyond the Gates now. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, it actually exceeded my expectations. But you have this, you have the sense that it's this incredible place, and these guys are all, firstly, when you're a teenager and it's happening, you think these guys are all fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But what do you think, like when you look now, what do you think people get wrong about that time when they think about it, when they mythologize it?
I don't know. I think you probably get wrong a lot of things, right? And I think to be reasonable about it, one just have to think that all the people that are being mythologized were just kids, basically, you know, like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. So obviously, maybe the romanticization of us living in the forests and eating roots and hunting trolls. In
Oh,
the
I thought you
nighttime.
guys, spear hunted wild boars and cooked them on the spot.
Maybe that was incorrect, but there is a tension there from all the guys from that era. We were all kind of rejects and outcasts. A lot of us, had no homes, had no jobs, and basically lived at each other's places, lived on the rehearsal rooms, on the park benches and stuff like that. So that's kind of the real journey. And we were, started with nothing, basically. There weren't rehearsal places to rent where you could get like high-end gear. Yeah, rent the room for three hours for $10. It was nothing like that. So, my first band, we played on one amplifier, all three of us. We just plugged into one amplifier, and we totally ruined it, But that's all we had. And the drum kit, it wasn't even a drum kit. It was two floor toms that was taped to the floor, and the drummer played on it, and he had a snare. And I'm not saying, look how hard it was. That's not my point. My point is that in despite of this is how important it was for us to express ourselves and to make music, that we would accept anything just in means to get where we wanted to get, and that's the very, very true statement and that surrounds this whole era and these people that were connected to it,
I do think there is something to be said about the eventual output that is created by that process of suffering and refinement. And I use suffering loosely. I mean, you're not being whipped like a slave or anything like that. But you're going through, as you say, it's not as straightforward as it is today. You can't just plug it into your computer, the guitar into your computer and record.
No.
You had to go through a very significant process of experimentation, figuring things out. And then ultimately it's then about refinement and how do I make this easier for myself.
And that your school, because we all went to school, we were kids, like I say, your school, your community, even your parents, nobody supported what you were doing because there was no framework for what you were even doing. Nobody understood it. They just saw that you had your upside down crosses and your spike, and you tried to copy like propaganda on the Xerox machine in your school, and you were at least I was kicked out of the school for 3 days because I tried to make that material. So nobody really, people questioned what are these kids doing, basically,
What was it that got you kicked out?
Yeah, I tried to, probably my friend had bought a Slayer magazine or something like that, and I also wanted one, so I went to the school and I copied his version of the Slayer magazine so I could take home and read it. And the Slayer magazine, it had all these depictions of women being cut up and upside down crosses and men being beheaded and all that. So the school, they don't know what it is, they just see all this material and then what the fuck are you doing here? So they kicked me out. Yeah, not the first time. Yeah.
I went to a very religious school as well. And I remember the first time that they got hold of a copy of Deicide Legion.
Yeah.
I mean, that was wheeled around classrooms as the most cautionary tale you can possibly imagine. If you listen to this music, it is guaranteed you're going to hell. We even had a teacher that proclaimed with a straight face to a classroom full of kids that if you listen to AC/DC and you're at a high enough spiritual level, you can see demons coming out of the speakers and angels battling them.
This is one of the reasons this music is so important. What makes it so compelling and important to have, right? Because it breaks down these lies, these tropes about and these controlling tropes of what is expected of you and what you're supposed to do. You know, there's no intrinsic evil in this music at all. You know, but it has a place of if not curing, but at least be contrarian against oppression. You know, an oppression of kids. You know, being told what, you know, harmless things that they're not allowed to do.
Well, I've always thought you're absolutely right about saying it's not evil at all. What I've always thought is that black metal at its best, if I think of my favorite black metal albums of all time, empowerment. It's always been about empowerment. It makes you feel, when you're a youngster, it makes you feel like you can overcome the bullies, just the standard pains and sorrows of being a teenage man. And then when you're older, you know, it excuse me, it helps you deal with everything else that life throws at you.
Yeah, sure. I buy that. I think considering all the people I knew back in the 90s growing up and that became all these different bands and stuff, you know, we were all rejects, outcasts. And sorry if somebody doesn't like that perspective of it, that it's not warrior-like or it's not king-like, but that's the truth, you know. People were rejects, outcasts, and black metal kind of was one of those means that gave people the opportunity to be proud of it instead of being ashamed of it. It was like empowering in the sense like, yeah, what the fuck, you know, I'm not going to be sorry about this anymore. You know, all these people that used to piss on me for no reason, now I'm going out to break their nose with Darkthrone playing on full volume on my speakers, you know. So yeah,
something that I think is very admirable about you, and it's been consistent through, I mean, from when you were very young, and I'm going to say this also meaning it as a compliment, but you have always struck me as somebody that has given an awful lot back to the scene, whether it's young up-and-coming bands, like I know you were involved in Code, for example.
Yeah.
You know, and you seem to give a lot back to musicians. I mean, even the example we were talking about earlier, which we've mentioned on the podcast, so I'm not betraying confidences here by talking about your exchange with Roman, the fact that you took the time to speak to him when, you know, you guys didn't even know each other at first.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Is it like good upbringing? Is it just like what's behind that philosophy of giving? Because actually, I have it as well in my professional life, and I have a very specific reason for it.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear your perspective on that, or where that comes from.
It's not easy to explain because I'm not 100% sure what it is myself. But I'll give it a shot. Okay, try to explain it. I think that it reminds me of how the scene used to be, basically. This organic tapestry of anything can happen, you know. And I still want this to be something I do. This black metal thing or this metal thing and the community, and not only something I do behind closed doors in my room, putting out to other people that I will never meet. I still need this to feel like a open kind of landscape where you still interact with it. It's not yours to take and define how you want to and just expel it out on the world to take it. I'm still trying to interact with this thing. So it's something I do, you know, for good or worse. I don't know what I will land on in that regard, you know, but it's just the world you're part of, basically.
I have also always felt, and this is behind my own motivations, I genuinely believe, and I encourage everybody that I mentor and things like that in my job to do it as well. The more you give, the more you put out into the world that's positive, the more you'll get back. And I don't believe in karma necessarily. I have just found that the more open I am to giving without expecting to receive anything back, my life has become far more enriched as a result.
I think that's an important part of it. Not expecting anything back, you know. Yeah. But this is the first time I get a question like this.
All sorts of firsts on Into the Necrosphere.
Yeah, but never has anybody said, yeah, it seems like you like to give things back to the scene. So I like all the things I was part of in some sense, it never I never imagined it would lead up to a point where somebody would notice and ask me about it, because that wasn't the initial motivation of doing it in the first place. Getting anything back from it. You're just interacting, and not being better or not being worse than it. You're just part of it. You're into it, Yeah.
I think you also kind of touched on it there, but I think part of why I noticed it is I admire and I like that attitude, because I think it strengthens the scene.
Yeah.
I think it strengthens the organism, the heart of the organism.
I think so.
An organism can die if the heart dies.
Yeah.
If something's wrong with the limbs, everything can continue. But when the heart dies, the organism dies, and that's what's most important, I think, about preserving black metal, about preserving the scene and preserving kind of the culture that we want around it.
Yeah, sure. And a lot of this black metal scene is very contradictory as well. You have these bands that are kind of they try to cater to a more elitistic notion. Like I only care about the fans that will understand. I don't give a shit about the rest, which is a self-defeating sentence in its own right, the way it's proclaimed. And I think that in the long run is probably more damaging to the scene, So in the end, if that's the attitude, why should anybody care, And even when the bands are utilizing that sort of statements, they are really just seeking attention. I know you are, Why post it if that's your true sentiment, So so I think it's important. I'm not bigger than all this. I'm just part. I'm a cog in this whole thing, that we all collectively created. Yeah? For good or bad. It's not only perfect or imperfect part of this black metal tapestry, but it's ours, and we created it, and we have to try to maintain it the best we can, or how we see fit to do so. And this is my contribution, this is how I feel it's sensible to do it, to sit at the pubs and talk with the people, join their bands, help with the mixes, whatever,
And you've got such a visceral connection to music. You do have naturally a lot to add, and a lot to add that comes from a place that no one is necessarily going to expect. Again, I think that's what I love so much about Dødheimsgard's music is it takes me to places that I would never, like my logical brain would never dictate that the song's about to go there. Like you can listen to a song, and when you hear the first riff, you kind of have an idea, like, okay, it's going to be a blast beat for this long. This is roughly what the melody is going to sound like, and sometimes that's fine. But with Dødheimsgard, it's just, it just goes in directions where when you think it's going to swerve one way, it goes completely the other way. But that kind of sort of creative freedom, what was I'm curious, what was your first connection to music, your first experience with music where it resonated with you as an art form, and where perhaps that seed was planted to where that was going to be your chosen medium to express yourself as well?
I remember my dad playing me Dark Side of the Moon with Pink Floyd, and I was absolutely terrified. That's kind of my first
terrified.
Terrified. It was so huge. He put the headphones on my head, listen to this, son, and turned up the volume. I was like, oh. And I remember feeling scared at some point in that. Very visceral experience.
And as far as your musical background, training, etc., have you studied any instruments or anything like that?
No. I don't even regard myself as a musician. This is just something I do. Some need, some itch that and coincidentally it turns out to be something related or close or kin to music, right? But I have no interest in it. I have no interest in working on in another capacity of the music business. I don't want to sit in an office dealing grants to musicians. I don't want to be on a TV show like American Idol saying, that was really well done, nice singing, you have a really nice voice, mister. We should make, I have no desires for being a guitar teacher or anything like that. My only desire is kind of living this thing that we are doing right now, you know, with the music and the whole kind of the whole living organism of what we're making, you know, like be it going to festivals and playing music, doing the art form and making albums, being in the studio. That's all I want to do. Yeah.
So have you thought back over the course of the time that you've been producing records and releasing albums, what stands out as the two things that you're the most proud of musically?
Another really hard question to answer. I'm proud of it all. You know, like in one sense, you wouldn't reach your point of where you are without the other things. Like I told Dial yesterday as well. Like a couple of years of making new music, for me, it just feels like I'm bathing in shit. It's like I'm writing music, and it's like, no, I can't stand this. I've made this so many times before. I'm just copying myself at this point, and wow, that was really horrible. So I spent like 2 years just chucking music out the window, you know. But you know that's also part of the process. So when I suddenly arrive at a moment where I'm like, wow, this part is actually, it resonates with me. This is kind of where I want to go. I wouldn't have gotten there without the 2 years of like being disappointed in myself, you know, and losing belief that I'm able to reach where I want to go. So so I'm proud of it all, basically. To return to your question, I think like it's all a necessary step. So it's not my job to discern about albums. Some people say, yeah, the first one's the best. Somebody says 666 is the best, and some people even say that the latest one is the best. And you know what? With all these statements, they're all true. Yeah, they're all true statements pertaining to that person who says them. For me, it's different, right? I'm in the experience of all these albums. I'm in there. I lived it. I experienced it. So I won't disown any of it, and I won't put anything above and beyond the other thing. It's all sewn together. It's one big piece. It's not separate pieces, right?
Yeah. Final question, and I am going to ask this purely because I know I'm going to get a ton of shit if I don't bring it up.
Okay.
Ved Buens Ende.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to do anything else with that?
I don't know. You know, like me and Carl and you, we just love playing those songs, you know, because they're when we made them, they were so effortless in a sense, you know, and the reaction to these songs were like, wow, this was really strange music. So that's a very weird kind of response to it, because we always felt it was really effortless to make. And we love playing those songs. We still want to be connected to the Written in Water song, because they came out of a jamming kind of environment between me and Carl, and then later you was brought into the mix, and we kind of still like to take these songs on the stage and get that same old feeling when we were jamming in the rehearsal room. If there would come something new, I guess it's dependent on, can it fulfill us in the same way? And Carl said something really interesting to me last summer. He said like, yeah, I don't know, Yusaf, if we'll ever make another album, because it used to be me behind the drum kit and you on the guitar, and we were just jamming stuff out, you know, and then you would come and have a cigarette and play bass, and obviously we will never be able to recreate that setting, and maybe that's also means that we can never reach that authenticness of there. And I was like, yeah, Carl, that's pretty well thought out, yeah.
It would, I think, if you didn't do the album, for example, written in a rehearsal room like you were just describing there, I think it would change the character of the band.
Yeah,
probably too much.
That was his point, and I think that's a fair point.
Yeah.
So and I think if you ask people, they will also be divided. Some people will say, I don't care, I always hated this band. Other people will say like, yeah, I hope they do something new, I'm really excited. Some people will say, no, I really hope they just stick to the demo and the album, you know? So there's no like blueprint out there in the universe either to read. So it has to be just feel unforced and natural if we ever come to the point where we produce new music under the Ved Buens Ende banner, because it makes no sense just slapping the logo on something random, you know. Obviously we can make music, so we are able to practically, but using this logo, just slapping on something, a random cover with random music on it, feels wrong, right?
Yeah, it would almost be better for you to, if you were going to make music again with the guys from the band, do it as something else.
Yeah.
If you can't write the music in the way that original, in the spirit that original album was written.
So, but that still means that we still love to play these songs. And since 2018, when we came back to do live shows, we played quite a bit of live shows, and now we play less and less and less and less. And I think we're happy about that. Happy just to play 2-3 shows, maybe for a year, you know, for people who loves the music with us, you know, that also have a stake in it, ownership, in the sense that they kept that music alive, you know.
And there is definitely a contingent of people who are, I mean, they revere that record.
Yeah, exactly.
They're completely obsessed with it.
Exactly. So so I think, and that's an ownership, right? Without them, it would be dead and buried. Nobody would care, you know. And the labels would reprint it every year and make it accessible. So if Ved Buens Ende ends up us just being that we're traveling out to see these people, playing for them, and whatever new people that tags along, discovering these records along the way, then we're fine with it. Because we also love these tracks. We want to stay connected to them.
Excellent. Well, Yusaf, once again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you thank you so much for making the time on your birthday for me.
Thank you very much. So interesting for you people, maybe you are wondering how I do my album titles when I make records. I just go to the store and I buy a lot of incense. And then when I'm home, I see, oh, this one's called Dragon Fire. So expect on the next album, there will be a song called Dragon's Fire. And let's see what we got here, you know, like, oh, Fairy's Mist. Ideas are already starting to churn in my head. Wizard Spell. So if you ever wondered how I made my records, now you have a sneak peek into my laboratory. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Wrapping up my interview with Yusaf Parvez, aka Vicotnik from Dødheimsgard. That was a song entitled It Does Not Follow, taken from the utter masterpiece that is Black Medium Current, a record that has been out for nearly 3 years now. But if you have an opportunity to see Dødheimsgard performing this live, like I said in my Fortress Festival review, I don't give a fuck whether you have to stand on the street corners busking for pennies. You make sure you get money for a ticket and you do not miss it. It will be well worth your time. One of the most just absorbing and immersive live experiences I think I've had this side of Rammstein. And I think the magic to Dødheimsgard is they certainly don't have the 400-person crew that Rammstein boast. But I want to say thank you very much to Yusaf for his time. He was coming off the back of some spirited birthday celebrations, as he admitted on the video, but he still managed to give me 45 great minutes. I enjoyed that conversation thoroughly. Hope you did too. And next week we will continue, most likely, the Fortress Festival coverage. I've still got Abigail Williams, Groza, and my very good friend Christopher, aka Necros Horns, one of the best black metal photographers in the game. So some good content coming from Fortress Festival. And then also in the tank, I've got Devo Anderson, and I've got my very good friend Alex Impaler from Firespawn. So you've got a couple of exciting weeks to look forward to, Legion. Before we go any further, and there is still lots to come, I'm welcoming the Sheriff Mike Scondotto to the Weekly News Rant in just a few minutes, but I think it's time you guys get yourself a little taste of some unsanctioned filth. This week, we travel to London, right here in the UK, to check out a band called Vryxor. They have just put out their second single. It's entitled Unsubmergible. This is what it sounds like. Basking in the glorious glow of the Unsanctioned Filth spotlight this week, that was Vryxor out of London, right here in the UK. Only their second single, Unsubmergible, was the name of the song. I thoroughly enjoyed it, which is why I wanted to share it with you guys. So if you did like it, I don't know whether these folks are working on a record, but there's certainly a way you can encourage them to turn this into a full length, and that is to head to their Bandcamp, give them a follow, and also make sure that you buy yourself some music. And when you do, you let them know who it was who sent you. As it stands right now, by the way, I have probably about 5 or 6 bands queued up for Unsanctioned Filth honors. An idea popped into my head this morning as I was preparing to record this, and that is, and I'm going to kind of test the waters here and see if you guys are interested, maybe doing a live stream where all we focus on is checking out some of the Unsanctioned Filth bands or at least the unsigned bands that have been sent to me. And then collectively we can decide whether or not they deserve the thumbs up or the brown down. So if you like that idea, drop me a line in the comments box or send me a DM. And we'll see if we can get something like that set up. Before we go any further, some quick housekeeping. If you enjoy Into the Necrosphere and you are lost for what to do with the rest of your week, fear not, because I am a member of a stable called the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse, dedicated to bringing you the highest quality content free of charge from Monday to Sunday. On a Monday, we have Brandon Legion hosting Horrible 666. Tuesdays is Into the Necrosphere Day. Now, one thing that is going to be slightly different this week, I'm running a bit of an experiment. I'm going to start reposting the Weekly News Rant every Friday as a separate upload. So you're still getting your full fat, all singing, all dancing, 3 hours plus Into the Necrosphere episode every Tuesday. But if you want to, I don't know how you want to pace your week. Maybe people just like listening to commentary about new music or bullshitting about what's going on in the industry. They might want to pick up Into the Necrosphere via the Weekly News Rant. So I'm going to post that possibly on the audio platforms as well as on YouTube. I'll run that experiment for about 6 to 8 weeks. Fear not if you are concerned. The current format of the show, the big kahuna that you get every Tuesday, that's not changing. Anyway, moving swiftly along, on a Wednesday, we've got Iblis Manifestations, hosted by Cheyenne from the band Trivax. We also have Everything Went Black, hosted by Mike Hill from the band Tombs. He returns on Thursdays with Necromaniacs, also featuring my Weekly News Rant co-host this week, Sheriff Mike Scondotto, and the Professor Jeff Kashid. And then on a Thursday and again on a Sunday, we've got the Sinister Minister Carl Haikara, the Reverend. He'll be back on a news rant very soon as well. So make sure you check out his podcast in the meantime. I am due to make an appearance on Soul Knox as well at some point. So I'll keep you posted on when that happens. Right now, though, if you are somebody who fears for their life at the sight of the Burzum logo on a t-shirt, then it's time for you to hit the bricks, because this is my Weekly News Rant.
A roundabout for judgment. And hang them where the world can see.
Welcome back to the Weekly News Rant. Sheriff Mike Scondotto. You are part of history, sir. Because it is going to start off as an experiment, but I have spoken about it before, and I am going to start posting, or reposting, I should say, the Weekly News Rant every Friday as kind of a separate upload on YouTube, because the impression I am getting is, one, I'm effectively presenting 2 shows in one. I think that seems to confuse the YouTube algorithm, and I do think there's a contingent of people that potentially click to hear the interview, immediately shove off after that's done, don't listen to the news rant, and there may very well be an untapped part of the audience that is in the mood to listen to either myself and a guest, this week of course being you, chop it up, talk some shit. We've got a lot to get through this week as well, but before we do that, how's everything going with you?
Things are good. Hello, sir. Once again, congratulations to you and the fam.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's always good news. Another future Into the Necrosphere pioneer, hopefully.
Oh, that's the co-host when I
Yes.
keel over.
That's right. He's got to keep it going. We have to shield.
Well, actually, not co-host. I should say the host when I keel over.
Well, yes, that's
you,
true.
You and he'll do the news rant if something
That's
happens.
true. I'll be doing it from the home. He'll carry the torch. But yes, we have to shield young people from horrible music. So that's also very important. But I am good. It is a scorching mid-ish June day in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. And I am psyched to be here. And once again, always great to hear from the Into the Necrosphere Legion out there that say what's up to me on Instagram. I've decided to make my Instagram public recently, which has been to my benefit. I've been posting a lot of my insane record collection on a daily basis, which people have been also enjoying. So always good to meet the new folks and the old folks and everyone in between.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's dive straight into it with some music. And we are kicking off on metalstorm.net. As always, the finest metal news website in all the land. There is a new single by Mortem. It says here, Norwegian black metal unit Mortem put out a lyric video for Skirant. And I, again, apologize if I fucked up the pronunciation of that title. But it says, the first single of their forthcoming long player, Morketed. The latter comes out on July the 3rd via Peaceful Records. A lot to be said about this band, but I'll save it. Let's you have 2 minutes rather than 2 seconds of this track. Pause there. Are you familiar with the background to Mortem at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I know they existed a very long time ago, and that some of the members went on to be in Arcturus.
Yeah, so Steinar Jonsson, the bassist, is in Arcturus. You also have Marius Volt, who used to be in Arcturus. And then you've got Hellhammer on drums. And you've got Tor Stavanes of 1349 fame on bass. So it is as star-studded as they come in terms of a lineup. And actually, there was a perception at one point that Mortem is the band that eventually went on to become Arcturus. I think the band have themselves corrected that and said it's not quite the case. But, I mean, essentially, they put out a demo in, I believe, 1990. And then in 2018, they started making plans to get back together, put out their first proper debut record. They did so in 2019. That album was called Ravenswart. I really like that, but I got to tell you, just based on the 2 minutes we've heard there, I think this is a big step up from that album.
It's funny. 90 to 2018. That's what J Dog would call a "we're back" band. That's a very, very long time away.
Yeah.
I never really fucked with this band. Like, they just kind of, I always knew the name, and I just was like, they completely eluded me. And I don't know, after hearing this track, I guess they're going to continue to elude me because I wasn't really into it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised. I would have thought that you quite dig it. I mean, for me, it's, very classic Norwegian black metal sound. I like the keyboards. I think the riffing is very cool. I mean, the players in the band are, clearly of a tier whereby their performances are never going to be anything other than stellar. And then, I mean, the song itself might not be anything that is massively original. Like we've heard this sort of thing come out of Norway many, many times before, but the song itself, I really like. And I as I said, I think it's a step up from what I recall, and it's been a while since I've listened to that record, but it's certainly a step up from what I recall Ravenswart sounding like.
The thing is, unless I'm mishearing something based on this clip, I hear electronic music. Like I hear like very heavy keyboards, and the drums just sound like a drum machine. Like, I don't know. Like, it sounded very like not black metal to me. I don't know.
I think that might be StreamYard fucking with you.
Maybe.
StreamYard's sabotaging your enjoyment of the track. I would suggest go back and listen to it, but I think it's going to get the thumbs up from me without a doubt.
I will reassess. But interesting.
All right, but we do have a lot of questions. As soon as I put the call out saying that the sheriff is going to be on, a lot of folks responded in fine style. So the first one, and I'm actually genuinely interested about this as well. We've got AV Overkill 1197 writing, I have one question for Jackson and one for Mike. Question for Jackson, I know your thoughts on Corentin, but supposing Akakaka never recorded it, what would your best record/desert island album be? I'll answer that in a second. But question for Mike, who from the New York hardcore scene do you consider to be your biggest inspiration, or were you most inspired by, and why?
Well, okay, that's a little tough, but I will try to give a good answer.
As you formulate your thoughts, I think just to jump in there as well, I was genuinely happy somebody asked that, because I mean, I've said to you before, I'd love at some point for us to chop it up just about hardcore generally, because you grew up in and saw so many things in that scene that I've only ever read about and kind of mythologized about in my own mind. So that was an interesting question when it came through, and I am genuinely very curious to hear what you say.
Like, the fast answer is Sick of It All, as like the biggest, and like most important in a way, that hearing that 7-inch first, that first EP they put out on Revelation Records, I was just fucking hooked, and that remains one of my favorite records. I remember I photocopied the cover and hung a photocopy of the cover up in my bedroom, and honestly, like a very close second would be Youth of Today, actually. Same thing. Like, I had pictures of these people on my wall. I had pictures of like them in my locker in high school, in freshman, sophomore year, and I just see like someone like Ray Capo today as this guy that I stop in my tracks to listen to every time he puts something up on Instagram or Facebook, because there's something about him that exudes goodness and positivity. Yeah, those are like the two biggest. And if someone wants a third biggest, wow. The first the first Sheer Terror album, Just Can't Hate Enough. Oh my God, that just like, whoo, it's a record that has stayed with me forever. And just the sound of it, the mixing of like the Celtic Frost with the New York hardcore. I don't know. It's something about that record just gets me going. And if we want to Rushmore it, Killing Time, Raw Deal. They were called Raw Deal first. They put out a demo in 1988. That is one of the greatest demos ever. And seeing them live to this day just fucking does it for me. I mean, I could go on and on, kids, but those are 4 amazing ones.
No, I'm a very big fan of Sick of It All, and in terms of like my enjoyment of hardcore, a lot of it stems from Set It Off. Set It Off was like the first hardcore album I ever bought for myself. That was a big turning point for me, and we spoke about that the last time you were on when we were listening to Madball. That album really, really turned me on to so many things, because it was like as soon as I got into that, you start reading up about Freddie Madball, and then he at some point dipped his toe in thousands of different bands. So you start digging into all of those bands. Youth of Today I only really discovered later on, but I mean I still listen to Break Down the Walls on a pretty regular basis. That's a great gym album.
It's a funny story, Youth Today, that was told to me by the guy that had this conversation with Ray Capo. Apparently, when Youth Today came onto the scene in the mid-'80s and moved to New York and started playing shows and getting a buzz and building a name, there was a guy in the scene that said to Ray Capo, "There'll never be a straight edge scene in New York City." And Youth of Today completely changed that. I mean, so many bands formed in their wake. Gorilla Biscuits, Bold, Judge, like there are people that drew inspiration from them, like so many bands and so many people, and they completely changed the scene in New York. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, to answer AV Overkill's question that he directed at me, I don't think this is going to come as a surprise. Akrakaka related album, Volume 3, Satan in His Original Glory by the Antichrist Imperium. If Corazon had never been recorded and I had to pick one record to listen to for the rest of my life, that would be it. It combines every single thing I love about extreme music: atmosphere, brutality, badassness. I love the experimental nature of the record. I think every single guy in the Antichrist Imperium is just a fantastic human being. I consider everyone in the band to be a friend, and I just think the band is phenomenal. They made 3 records that are, in my view, the 3 of the strongest albums that any band has released back to back.
Awesome. I love the way you say the name of that band. I don't know why. I get a very big kick out of you and your accent. With you say the name with such enthusiasm because you love those guys. I don't know. It's a funny thing.
Oh, dude, funny you mentioned the accent. There is this fucking septic tank of a website called Metal Warfare that has a forum where there's been a bit of hate directed at my accent. I mean, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do.
Well, here's the thing. I first heard of that band. I didn't even know how to say the name of that band, honestly, and you're going to kill me for this. It is one of the worst names of a band ever, in my opinion. I think it's a terrible band name.
How fucking dare you.
My girlfriend and I last night were talking about your accent, and with complete love. Because she has an accent. She's from New Zealand. Yeah. So and just like your love and enthusiasm for Akrakaka, I can't even say the name of the band. I just love it, and I know some listeners love it, and they know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's all I'm going to say. And if anyone's hating on it, how dare you? How dare
exactly. You? All right, let's move on to some more music. Archgoat have announced a new album release. As soon as this came out, I'm not even going to pretend that this is the first time I'm hearing it. I jumped on this track straight away. September 11th, 2026, we'll see the release of the Archgoat's newly announced studio album dubbed Nightbringer, Lightbringer. Alongside disclosed details, you can also give a spin to the first single title track. Let's hear what it sounds like.
man, that was great.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that's how you do it, as they say. Archgoat, like say Cannibal Corpse, you know what you're gonna get. They do not disappoint. They know who their fans are. They don't fuck around. You won't be getting a sellout record ever from Archgoat. I think this sounds fucking great. It's catchy in a weird way, even though
it is very catchy.
Like, right?
I totally agree. I think that's the most catchy track they have ever released.
It's good. I look forward to the rest. You know, they played Brooklyn a bunch of years, like not even that, I don't know, 7 years ago, pre-COVID, and I fucking missed the show, and it was not even super far away. I can't even remember why I missed the show, but they have not been back here since. I really hope they get to America again. So many bands I love are just not coming here. But it would be so great to see them play here again. They would fucking pack the shit out of a New York City date and probably any, major city in America. We'll be pre-ordering this. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think literally from about the 30th second, I immediately put this on my contenders list for 2026. I was like, this will be in the top 30 of 2026. There is no doubt about it. I thought
like, I don't know. It's just, you hear it and you're like, yep, this is good.
Yeah, it's raw. It's as you say, it's catchy. It's fucking aggressive. I mean, they're never going to try and pull a Guerilla or a Behemoth or, there'll never be any of that. No. I mean, my previous favorite records by Archgoat, for anybody who doesn't know the band and wants to get into them, and funnily enough, there are a few folks that fall into that camp. I would strongly recommend you dig up The Light Devouring Darkness. That came out in 2009. Fucking brilliant. And then the album they put out in 2021, Worship the Eternal Darkness, that's fantastic too. I would say, based on this single, I feel like Lightbringer could stand shoulder to shoulder with those records.
Yeah. Hopefully they release some more of the tracks soon. Yeah, this is going to be a banger.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, we got a question from Metal Sheck. He says, a genre that you don't speak of much. What are your favorite war metal bands or albums?
Well, if we're putting Blasphemy as a war metal band, then I guess it's Blasphemy.
Which I have to do because Blasphemy is my favorite war metal.
The thing is, but here's the thing: war metal doesn't happen without them, and I feel like some people may nitpick and just call them a black metal band, but no, they're kind of like the Black Sabbath of war metal, really. Yeah. But I like Revenge, who again makes the same record every record. They make the same record, but it's you're either on board or you're not. I like Black Witchery. They're fucking great. Again, also obviously a black metal band, but they're in that wheelhouse. They're 100% in that wheelhouse. And who else? Like the Conqueror Soul album is fucking awesome, And then there's like other bands that I've heard here and there that I think are great that the names are escaping me, but I feel like with war metal, it's very singular, and it's I'll give props to Caveman Cult. Caveman Cult are fucking really cool. My buddy Ed is in the band now. What's up, Ed? It's a love it or hate it genre, and I think everyone should at least check out the Forefathers.
Yeah, I'd strongly agree with that. One name you left out of your list that I'm very surprised by, Diocletian.
I did. And I actually like them a lot. It's weird. I love them. However, their greatest record is their outlier record, Gisundrian.
Yeah. Which I agree with you on that. That's actually what introduced me to them. I remember you're in Cleave.
Ever did.
Yeah, I remember you're in Cleaved Asunder off of Gisundrian.
Now, What makes that record so good, though, is that it's not just a war metal record. It brings in some other shit. And man, I got to see them live when that record came out at Maryland Death Fest, when they actually played Maryland Death Fest in 2014. One of the greatest Maryland Death Fest lineups ever. And they were so fucking good, man. But that lineup imploded completely after that album and after that run, where there's just the sole guy, member of the band, who has been the one guy on every single album whose name's escaping me. But I feel like the fact that the three other participants of Gisandrian not being in the band anymore perhaps have had an influence on that band. Anybody out there can check me if I'm wrong, but I'm waiting for my Gisandrian part 2. Then that's never happening apparently. So yeah.
The gentleman you were thinking about is Brendan Southwell.
Okay, he's the one main guy. Yes.
Yeah. But Gisandrian is what introduced me to the band. It was actually hearing Cleaved Asunder on, I can't remember whether it was an episode of Everything Went Black or Necromaniacs. But I know It was Mike who introduced me to the band.
Yeah, me and Mike love that record. Yeah.
Yeah. It's absolutely superb. I mean, favorite records, definitely Gisandrian, Fallen Angel of Doom by Blasphemy. That is an essential. And then I really like Antichrist Siege Machine. I've had Antichrist Siege Machine on the podcast. I think all their albums are excellent.
Saw them the other week actually with Negative Plane and Wrath Prayer. 3 fucking fantastic bands. They are great, and it's reminding me that I need to get them into the collection.
Most definitely. All right. More music. We've got Speedslut out of Denmark. It says here, as part of their oncoming studio release, Cumbrian Rights, Denmark's Speedslut offer in listening another new song in preview called Pest-Ridden Stallions. Fucking hell. I was just about to hit stop and then that breakdown kicked in. I was like, God damn it. That is fucking cool.
Where are they from? Oh,
Denmark.
Yeah. Very, very good. Kind of, I mean, it's, thrash, speed metal, a little bit of black metal, I like it a lot. Very, very instantly, like, you know, you walk into a club and this band is playing, you're going to watch them. Yeah, I like the name. I'm on board. I like it.
It looks like a bunch of young bucks as well. They brought out a demo or an EP, I should say, in 2025 called Ferocity of Steel, which is a great name for an EP. And then they bring out their debut album now. They kind of dabble in that same space as Daiva, Destroyer 666, Lord Humongous, Witch's Hammer, who we listened to last week.
Yeah.
I think it's fucking excellent. I mean,
you know, Lord Humongous, they played last night in New York, and I didn't even fucking know about it until my friend sent me the YouTube clip this morning, and I went, would have been nice if I knew this show was even happening. Apparently they played some small space. It was 1,000 degrees. And I'm like, well, maybe okay. Maybe I'm okay with missing that. But I like them a lot, and I would have liked to have seen them.
Yeah, that Raped by the Nukes album that they released in 2023 is fucking brilliant. And I've also heard reliable rumors of Daiva working on a sequel to Through Sheer Will and Black Magic, which I'm very excited about as well. But yeah, these guys are fucking excellent. I can see them very comfortably sharing a stage with Destroyer 666, even with Hellripper, and going over exceptionally well.
And they remind me of the band that I've mentioned several times on the podcast, the Osmos Records Gehenna, who put out Utter Hell, Inferno. I'm sorry, Inferno. Poser check. The Osmos Records Inferno, who put out the amazing Utter Hell record, which is so fucking cool. It sounds a lot like this.
Yeah, the Deborah Morty Inferno. I'm starting to get a bit of a read on your taste in music, and I don't think that the Deborah Morty Inferno is necessarily going to be up your street.
Yeah, like I don't know, like a lot of the stuff out there I call it's like sleeping bag metal. Like I hear it and I'm just like, I just can't. Yeah, it's a wrap. Yeah, like I can't get into it. You know, like some of these quote unquote black metal bands that just like sound like, I don't know, very boring, barely black metal. I don't know. I can't get into it.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got a question for you from Crotitus666. He says, I get the vibe from the sheriff that he's a big fan of Dismember and that era of Swedish death metal.
Oh, yeah.
As I am too. There are many new and not so new bands who try to keep the spirit up. But most don't have something interesting to show. I tend to get bored by many of them. The question is, who among them deserves a better audition? Who is worth listening to? I find Lick mostly have to say something interesting musically. I have a hunch who you're about to say, but...
Well, here's the thing. Look, I am such a Dismembered stan that, like, when they played Brooklyn for the first time in a very long time, like I was at their New York show prior to that, which was in 2007, I want to say, or ages. They hadn't played New York in ages. And of course, in 93, my old band Confusion opened for them at Lemoore, which was amazing. I brought every piece of vinyl and every CD I had with me to get signed, and they signed everything. So that's how much of a Dismember fan I am. Fred Esteby is a friend of mine. And he's the coolest guy ever. He lives in America now, which I also believe Rich, the bass player, lives in like Texas or something. But anyway, they're one of my all-time favorites. In a way, I don't fuck with too many bands that sound like them because they're them to me, and I just want them. But this is a semi-controversial one. I don't think Gatecreeper suck. I think they're fucking... Some of the shit is really good, actually, Gatecreeper. I've kind of not paid attention to the new one, though, or maybe the last two. But they have some of that vibe, you know, and I think you would agree with that.
Yeah, I do.
But again, like I don't dive deep into the Dismember Entombed ripoffs in 2026 per se. Not really. But there's a band, hold on, in the collection that I fucked with, and they put a record out last year and I better be able to find it. Hold on. Impurity, who give off the some of those vibes that really good on Hammerheart. Did you check this record out from last year?
I did not know.
It's good. Good death metal, the eternal sleep, Impurity. But yeah, in a weird way, they satisfy a thing where I don't need any ripoffs. Like, I don't love Misfits ripoffs. I don't like that whole world, you know? Although I would like to fuck with some more Danzig influenced bands, and I feel like there's like none of that out there for some reason. But
Oh, dude, have you heard Morgan from Marduk's Danzig inspired band?
Danzig inspired band?
Yeah.
What band is that?
They were called Deathwolf, I believe.
No.
Let me just double check that. Oh
Okay.
my god, I can't believe you don't know it.
I heard the
this would be
Misfits one. Wait, isn't that Devil's Whorehouse? But that's kind of
it used to be called Devil's Whorehouse, and then they changed their name to Deathwolf.
no. I have heard. No, that's. I mean, that's good. I need to kind of fuck with that again. I heard that a million years ago.
I would definitely say when they changed to Deathwolf from Devil's Whorehouse, they got a little edgier and a little heavier, which isn't a bad thing. But they have 4 albums out now. The last one came out in 2019. I just wanted to double check that before I waxed all lyrical about them. But yeah, Deathwolf, 1000% a band.
I need to fuck with that shit again. It's been. I remember hearing the Devil's Whorehouse stuff way back in the day, and I never went back to it. But if they have that many like releases out, then yeah, I'll fuck with it as a Marduk lover. But what about you? I mean, I know you're a big Dismember fan. What's your answer?
I am. Well, I would definitely say I agree with you on Gatecreeper. I think that they get more hate than is due them. I've heard a couple of Gatecreeper songs where, I mean, I had written them off because of the fact that they sound so similar to Dismember. And then I heard a few songs subsequent to that, including the tracks I listened to on the Weekly News Rant, where I was like, fucking hell, this is surprisingly very good.
Yeah.
I think that Fuming Mouth is a great band. I've had all of Fuming Mouth on the podcast. I think they're good. I mean, they probably have a little bit more crust and hardcore in them than the average Dismember tribute act. Creeping Death has had a few reasonably enjoyable songs, and then outside of that, Black Breath is a band that I think is
Black Breath. Yes, I mean. Totally. It's funny. Like in one of my fantasy heads, I would make an album that just completely ripped off Indecent and Obscene, which is my favorite Dismember record. Like it would be a tribute to Indecent and Obscene only. Like it would, like I would probably take riffs from that and make new riffs out of them and just, I don't know. I'm like obsessed with that album.
It is absolutely fucking brilliant. Is that perhaps the project that you've been you've been teasing, you've been mulling over?
Well, it's oddly enough, it's not. But some of that would bleed into the new project. Some of that maybe sonically and mood wise, you know. But yeah, I mean, there's just something about that record, like in the tone and just the fact that there's no fucking skip songs and these riffs just appear out of nowhere and these like breakdowns. It's just, that record is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it is superb. All right, so we move from one style of death metal to another. Are you a fan of Devourment?
I am. I was late to the party with Devourment. I literally, this is surprising, I only got into them maybe 5 years ago. How about that? But I like them a lot.
All right. Well, they have dropped a surprise EP on us over the weekend. It says here, Texas-based brutal death metalers Devourment have surprised us today with the release of a brand new EP, Pious Impiety. The latter, which can be streamed in its entirety via Bandcamp widget below, was produced, mixed, and engineered and mastered by Daniel Schmuck. We're going to listen to a song called Advanced Stage Decomposition. if you and your lady are planning a romantic evening in, I think that's the song to soundtrack it to.
Oh yeah, she's not the biggest fan of this style of metal, but I will say I am. Okay,
Yeah.
while I literally heard of Devourment for over 2 decades, they just had completely eluded me till I finally fucked with them about 5 or so years ago, and I'm quite the fan. Although I've never seen them live, they haven't been to New York in quite a minute. Okay, I'm going to say something. Broken Hope, right? I feel like this is on some like Broken Hope Battles of Repugnance shit times 10, and that's part of why I love it. And I feel like Broken Hope like crawled so this band could walk in a way. Like this reminds me of what like was happening a very long time ago, but kind of dipped a little, and now is like this one of the biggest subgenres in death metal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this heavy, brutal stuff that just when you hear it, it's just like, yep, I fucking love this. And I don't know, some people might be, throwing something at the screen right now saying they don't sound anything like Broken Hope, but they do. And to me, they do, old Broken Hope.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And actually, my first thought was when I heard this is I would rather listen to Broken Hope. I mean, I do like it very much. Let's not detract from the song. I do think the song is excellent, and actually the whole EP I think is really good. It's very enjoyable. I don't know if I could take more than 3 songs of that, because I think the thing with Broken Hope, if you go back to the Battles of Repugnance or Repulsive Conception, Loathing, I mean even Grotesque Blessings, and then especially the last 2. I mean I love both of those records too. There is a lot of creativity and a lot of interesting things that Jeremy does with those riffs. And again, I'm maybe slightly biased here because the podcast is not called Into the Necrosphere by accident. Yep. I'm friends with Jeremy. I got Jeremy's blessing to call the podcast Into the Necrosphere. So I'm a fucking huge fan of the band. But like if I think of even, let's take 2 songs side by side. I think of the song Swamped in Gore and the song we just heard. I enjoy both, but gun to my head, which would I rather listen to? Swamped in Gore, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, they are the early progenitors, I think, of what this is. But I feel like so many youngins don't give a rat's ass about Broken Hope.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that kind of sucks. Just like a lot of young hardcore people don't give a rat's ass about Agnostic Front. And that also sucks. You know what I'm saying? Early Broken Hope is ripe for fucking reviewing if you're a younger person listening right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. Something I'd also say is if you have slept on Broken Hope, they don't really play live very much anymore. If you ever get the chance to see them play, don't miss it. I saw them twice after Mutilated and Assimilated came out. Once they opened for Cattle Decapitation, and as much as I enjoy them, they mopped the floor with that band. And then the second time they played at a complete crummy fucking piss ant little dive called the New Cross Inn in London. Headline show, they were fucking phenomenal. Even though it's one of the worst venues I've ever been in my entire life, it was also one of the most badass, just full bore, aggressive, tough as nails, man's death metal show I've ever seen.
Me and Mike Hill saw them, I believe, headline St. Vitus, and they were fucking great. This was a while ago. This was 10 years ago. And they were fucking awesome. I think it was around the time of the last album they put out, which was a long time ago. But as far as Devourment, I like them. I like that track.
Me too.
And it gets a thumbs up from the sheriff.
Yeah, gets a thumbs up from me as well. You mentioned hardcore. I've got a question for you that is hardcore related from Grind Your Mind 77. I'm curious about the sheriff's take on modern hardcore and how he feels about the arm-swinging line dancing that takes place at gigs. It's like synchronized warm-ups for bowling. The pit is gone and it's replaced by kung fu wanker-size hybrid.
Okay, modern hardcore. Not every band is terrible. I mean, I think a lot of them are terrible. To to me, the greatest modern hardcore band is Terror. I've said that once. I'll say it again. And there's a small part of me, and that's where hardcore stops in a weird way. But although it didn't stop at all. But as far as the Kung Fu Karate in the Pit, I'm going to blow some minds. What if I told you that was beginning to happen in 1989? What if I told you that? What if I told you that in 1989 and 90, there was that was literally happening in the Pit at CBGB's and at the Ritz, and the dancing had changed a bit, going as far back as then. Now, what wasn't happening back then was crowd killing. That's more of that is a modern invention. But the Kung Fu Karate ninja type stuff is way older than you're aware. And I don't know. I just felt like back then it was just more of an expression of dance, if you will. And I mean, some people were actually very good at it back then. And there was like a way to do it where it kind of looked cool in a way. I don't know. But it is older than people think. Circle pits in New York City kind of were not a big deal in the proper hardcore scene. That was a thrash metal thing. That it came from the hardcore punk scene in California, but was way more of a thrash metal thing in New York City. Like, there were no circle pits at CBGB's. CBGB's was like skanking and kicked it. It was different. The Pit was different at CB's. It was not circle pits at the matinees in 1988, 1989, 90. That's not what people were doing. What people were doing was the earlier versions of what some people kind of hate now, believe it or not. But people weren't as douchebaggy and deliberate maybe back then, although the people were very tough and scary back then too. I don't know. A little bit of both. But what do I think of it? I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. It is expression of aggression and whatever. But again, sometimes it's cool. If you're a respectful person in the Pit, that's great. But if you're a fucking asshole, then everybody hates you. So, yeah.
So on that topic, you must surely be aware by now. As a matter of fact, I know you are aware because I saw you posting about it on Facebook. You must be aware of the End It controversy.
Banana Gate. We're going to call it Banana Gate 2026.
There we go. Hardcore band played a show in Toronto. And I'll very quickly play the 1 minute 38-second clip here of what happened on stage when a guy wore a banana costume and got confronted by the End It frontman.
We're just going to address it. You want to do it now, or you want to do this now or later?
Banana guy.
Banana man, come to the front.
What's going on, man?
Fuck you doing, my nigga? No.
You look really old to be a banana.
You don't get rewarded for doing that shit.
No. Not good.
He wanted the attention, and now he has it.
Now everyone here has to kill you.
Now, if you strip the banana, you get this lovely set list. I'm just saying, he was asking for attention. Now you got it. Pack it in. I know, I still got to set it for my fault. Fuck the IDF, free Palestine, fuck Israel, and fuck the police. Song's called 21. Somebody, come inside his head. That man was innocent. But you claim that innocent. You can't go like nigga with no violence, right? Brutality, corruption, with no consequence.
I'll actually pause there because if people are listening to this, they're not going to. Yeah, you get the gist. Basically, Banana Guy was put upon by the audience after these instructions, and by the end of the track, he was no longer wearing very much of that banana outfit. I want to ask you one question before you give me your take on this.
Mm-hmm.
If in 1986 somebody turned up to an Agnostic Front show wearing a banana costume, how would that have gone?
86, not well. I mean, that predates me by 2 years, and in 88 things were pretty savage to a degree. But in 86, from what I understand, we're even more savage. So, no, not great. No, if he went into the pit, probably not great at all or up front. If he stayed in the back of the club, I'm sure he would have been fine. So there's the answer to that question.
So next question, as a as a seasoned veteran of the hardcore game, what do you make of this exchange and of this incident?
So much to say. All right. First thing is, I don't think any band of any genre should ever call upon the crowd to attack another person in the audience. I mean, if you want your band to have a career, that is. I don't think that's good advice, honestly. Especially if you're a band that's in the hardcore or punk world about inclusion and diversity and all that, and having a good time, and whatever, and being yourself. And I think that was bad. That was bad. Okay.
There's definitely an element there whereby if I were advising the frontman from Ended as a friend, or if I were advising him on a professional level, I would say, do not say something like that, because you don't know what pre-existing conditions this guy has. He could have some sort of illness. He could be epileptic. Something could happen whereby somebody throws a punch at him errantly, and now you are going to be held accountable for that, either financially, legally, or both. And then the other thing is, you also don't know whether the guy's a fucking nutcase. He might be packing heat outside the venue, and now that you fucked with him in his banana outfit, he's going back to go and fetch his 9mm, and he's going to extract revenge.
Another weird tangent is, people are litigious these days, sadly. Just because you listen to hardcore music and whatever doesn't mean that you can't be one of those motherfucking people. But the word about this guy is that he's a friendly guy in the scene in Toronto or whatever, in Canada, and everybody kind of knows who he is, and he wears costumes at every show, pays to get in, and is a fan of this music. That actually makes me feel kind of worse about it in a way, because apparently he was a fan of Ended. Here's the thing. Is it douchey? Yes. Okay. Is it attention seeking? Yeah. But all they had to do was maybe make fun of him a little from the stage, and that could have been it, right? If they really didn't like it, make fun of him, throw some jokes, or say nothing at all. To call upon the crowd to literally kind of jump him and rip his clothing off of him, even though he was clothed underneath, bad idea. And a lot of what I'm seeing, the heat is not good out there for them. Although there's a good contingent of their actual fans that are completely on their side. Decent numbers of that. Way bigger numbers of people not happy at all, I feel like, about this. And people who are disappointed as fans of Ended. Oddly enough, there has been zero statement from the band. It was they had like 1 day left of this tour. It was a tour with Terror, U.S. run that had actually come to New York too. They haven't said a word. There are probably reasons for that, but in a way, like, this story could have went away if they said something the next day where, like, if they kind of made like a lighthearted statement about it, maybe, or invited the guy to another show, or, what I'm saying? Like, they could have handled this a lot more differently, and maybe they're going to. But as of right now, and it's been a good near week, they haven't said a word. What do you think about that?
Well, I totally agree with you. But there was an opportunity for them to salvage a very bad situation that they created for themselves. And I, in principle, completely agree with you. I don't think that anybody at a show should be made to feel in any way physically endangered. And actually,
this isn't 1986. It's not 1996 either. Like, that world, I feel like the world of, I can't go to shows, I'm afraid to go to shows, I think that world is over, even in hardcore.
Yeah. Now, that being said, actually, there is a counterpoint as well that I think it's at least worth positing, right? Not even though I don't necessarily agree with it. And it's based around the principle of there is a distinction between life as you want it to be and life as it is. And if you were genuinely concerned about attracting the wrong kind of attention, or if you were at least to some degree, if you're not in the business of calling attention to yourself that could ruin your night, then you should not be wearing a banana outfit or banana costume at a hardcore show. I remember one thing that always stick with me is live at Budokan, SOD, Billy Milano, having fucking tuned up a couple of guys, as that you see on the video, and he warns the crowd. He says, if you come up here, you're going to pay the price.
Nice.
There is something about the DNA of this scene that does lend itself to displays of violence, whether we agree with it or whether we don't.
Right.
And I do think it's naive to think that you can go to shows and that at some point something isn't going to happen. As much as I totally agree with you, it was stupid. And if I were again advising the band, I would say, reach out to this guy, invite him to a show, have him backstage, show him the time of his life, and smooth this over. Because you also make a really good point there. He's a fan of the band. Imagine how shit that must feel if a band that you really like and that you admire, are the result of you getting beaten up.
Yeah, look, I understand hardcore is hard. It is hard music. It is aggressive music, and it's not for everybody. But this band is not a tough guy band. They're a band that is, they're not like a beatdown band. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like for them to kind of take that stance is just, I don't know, not good for their career. But again, I could be wrong. This could blow over, but I feel like the saying nothing for now. Again, there might be a reason for it. They might have someone telling them to say nothing, for all I know. I don't fucking know, right? I don't know. I don't think they should lose their fucking career for this, though. I'll say that. This is not the end of the world, in my opinion. This is not, like a complete, utter disaster. It sucks. It's bad PR for right now, but things do go away. And again, if they want to fix this, they can fix this. But I don't know, man. It's just strange. Everything is just kind of speculation right now, right?
I think you mentioned terror earlier. My suspicion is that Scott Vogel would have handled this a lot differently.
Yeah.
Had he been on stage, I think he might have poked a little bit of fun, and that would have been the end of it.
And that would have been it. Yeah, this could have went another way. And again, I don't know. This is not look like black metal, right? Marduk doesn't want you on the stage. We all know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So Morgan beating a guy's ass on stage. The black metal fans are going to be like, yeah, for that. Marduk are not a fun hardcore band. It's different worlds, Again, it remains to be seen about Banana Gate, but it is literally one of the biggest things of the past, year, I feel like, in hardcore, which is mind-blowing.
Yeah, no, it's huge. All right, let's pivot back to some black metal. Faustian have put out a lyric video for their new single, I Curse You. Anybody who doesn't know who Faustian is isn't paying attention to this podcast. It features members of the Antichrist Imperium, the Berserker, Werewolf, Psychroptic, and a Bremelin. It is basically werewolves playing black metal. Proof that Matt never runs out of ideas. I've had this album for, I think, nearly a year now, so I know it very, very well. Let me give you a little taste. Shout out, by the way, to Jack McGuire, who did the lyric video for that. It is excellent. He also did the lyric videos for Weird Stuff and Gravier, who I featured on last week's podcast. And I callously forgot to call him out. I have to say, great work. I know he doesn't necessarily advertise that he does it, but I think if you're after a decent lyric video, Jack McGuire is your man.
How many records do Faustian have?
They've got an EP and then they've got this one. So this album is, well, actually, sorry. I think the previous record, I think it's billed on Metal Archives as an EP, and then but I think they consider it their debut record. So this new one is going to be their second album, and it's called Parable of the Sewer.
Very, very cool. This is like half of Werewolves or all of Werewolves?
All of Werewolves.
Oh wow, very cool.
It is Werewolves, just making a different style of music.
Cool lyric video. Kudos to not shooting a video in a basement with some crap hanging up in the background like some of the other bands. You know, we see
smiling at the camera, putting faces.
Please, no, stop doing that. They've done a very good job here with their video. Yeah, this is really, really good. It's funny. I am one behind in owning all of my Werewolf CDs. I just don't have the most recent one. I would like to definitely perhaps purchase this. I dig it, man.
Well, I'm sure you will be able to get it from Apocalyptic Witchcraft. They're actually putting out a limited edition splatter vinyl on July the 24th. So awesome. If you want, I'll ask Connor to keep one aside for you.
Yeah, no, dude, this is really good. This is quality shit. I have a nice Werewolf shirt that I got from, I think, Indie Merch. I've got almost all their CDs, all the digipacks. Yeah, this is fucking hard as shit. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's fucking awesome. Not to give anything away, but I may have gotten a little taste of the next Werewolves record. All I said to Matt was,
unbelievable.
I don't know how the fuck you do it. I really don't.
Yeah, you know, I want an ounce of that creativity.
Yeah, it's fucking inhuman. It genuinely
is. Inhuman is what it is.
It would take me a fucking decade to come up with 2 songs that come anywhere close to like being considered for the B-side, the unreleased tracks of a Werewolves record.
Yeah, I mean, really good band. You know, more Americans should definitely fucking fuck with them and check them out.
Yeah,
spread the word.
Now, one band I know that you love and that you've strongly endorsed on the podcast, we've got a question directed at you. Mystic Yaucha asks, I'd like to know the sheriff's thoughts on the new Ride for Revenge record.
It's very interesting. Someone asked that. I literally 2 nights ago pre-ordered the new LP, Angels Fly Low from Nuclear War Now. They have a red vinyl option and a black vinyl. I, of course, got the red vinyl. And they have a killer new T-shirt with the album cover design. And I picked that up because I already have a Wisdom of the Few shirt. The thing is, I've only heard that, was it the one single is almost like very like old, weird, like Godfleshy kind of, like it's kind of different actually from some of their other stuff. I have not fucked with the entire record yet. On purpose. Like a lot of times, like I kind of wait with new records to really kind of sit down with them, but I don't know if the whole record goes in this more experimental direction or if that particular track does, but I am extremely excited to hear the whole thing. As a matter of fact, Harold Mentor from Ride for Revenge, I think was talking about some issues they were having with some of the tracks on YouTube. So he like individually put every track on his Facebook page. I need to hear the whole thing. Have you heard more of it?
Yeah, so I think there was I know there was a stream of it on YouTube yesterday when the album was officially released.
Right. Okay.
And at your recommendation, I went and listened to it. I've only listened to about half the record, but I can tell you now the 2 opening tracks, Saddle the Hellstorm and As the Mountain Shakes Again, are hard as fucking nails.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it is the Scandinavian Profanatica, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's got the darkness of Profanatica, but it has that kind of Scandinavian twist to it. It's Yeah, it's fucking excellent. I mean, Ride for Revenge and Archgoat. That's too cult. Too cult for the average man or woman.
They need to get their asses to New York. They played New York once. They played St. Vitus. It's one of my famously missed shows. They're playing Canada, though, later this year. I don't know, man. There's some good shit happening in Canada that I may have to get on a fucking plane for. Because Blasphemy is doing this huge show with Revenge and Witch's Hammer. I forget November 13th, I think it is. So that's something I wish I could fucking go to. Who knows, But yeah, I'm excited to hear the whole thing. I have not fucked with the whole thing yet, which will be fixed by the next time I am on the show, obviously.
All right. Well, I want to do one more track and then it's Swirly time. We've got a new single out by Hulder, and Hulder is a band I'm very fond of.
Me too.
Announced they had signed with 20 Buck Spin and Season of Mist. Their new album is out on August the 7th. It's called Verbolgen, and the new single is entitled View from Nemeton. All right, I'm going to pause there. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about female extreme vocalists, and I spoke a lot about Brenda Cordick from Johnny the Boy, and expressed that that I really loved her vocals, specifically because she sounds like a woman doing extreme metal vocals, not a woman trying to sound like a man, which is where I think a lot of women in the scene go wrong, and I think it's to their detriment. I had completely forgotten, and I really should have remembered, but I had completely forgotten to praise or to throw praise in the direction of Hulder herself, aka Marlise Osborne. I mean, she is fucking phenomenal. I have loved this band since I first heard them, and this song is no different. It is absolutely brilliant.
This is fucking great. I have all their CDs. I wish that was the vinyl collection I had instead of the CDs, but maybe I'll fix that because that's who I am. I'm definitely getting this record. This song is fucking awesome. And I'm sure you've noticed this. No more makeup on her.
True. Yeah, true.
I'm wondering if that is the new look going forward, and live there'll be no more corpse paint. That's interesting. I wonder if there's a reason
softening
behind that.
Of the logo as well.
Yes, I whatever it is, I'm intrigued and I like it. I like change when it comes to certain things. They certainly didn't change their being a good black metal band. I'll tell you that. But to change the
No.
look is cool, and change the logo, okay, noticeable. And I'd love to maybe find out why. Interesting. I kind of like when American black metal bands don't have corpse paint on. How about that? What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't really mind either way. I do think corpse paint it's a cultural phenomenon that it feels like it fits the 90s better than it does 2026, right? There's still some bands that do it, and I think it looks fucking cool. But I do feel like it has a place that is maybe, its real place, its real spiritual place is 93, 94.
Right. Like, like I don't want to see certain bands without it. Like certain bands I don't want without it.
Yeah.
But if a band takes it off, I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
I used to have it.
Well, I think when the logo change was announced, because I think I can't even remember whether that was announced or whether that leaked, but I think there was a fear that Hulder might go the route of so many other proto black metal bands that started off black metal, might have shown a lot of promise, and then fell by the wayside, and that certainly doesn't sound like it has happened yet. The song itself is it's got a real unhinged quality to it, and I love her vocals, man. She's like, as I said earlier, I think the beauty of what she does is that she's not trying to sound like a man. She sounds like a woman expressing herself through extreme style vocals, and that's why her voice works so well.
Yeah, I've seen them live over the years like 3 times, and fucking great. I mean, yeah, they're to me one of the best modern American black metal bands, in my opinion, 100%.
Yeah.
It's funny, like they don't get a lot. Like, some people are misogynist or whatever with women in black metal or whatever the fuck. I feel like Hulder doesn't get a fraction of heat because she does not suck. The band does not suck. They make great records. And I feel like she is legit. She doesn't have, she wasn't a Disney actor 12 years ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's fucking, to me, she's legit. Like, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I think misogyny being thrown the way of women in metal, I think is so fucking dumb, because there's so many talented women in metal. I mean, conversely, I also find it annoying that I continually have to be told that, we don't want to be called female fronted metal, or I don't want to be referred to as a female vocalist. Why the fuck not? I think it's fucking cool if you bring something different and something unique to the plate. And let's be honest, for a period of time, it was quite unique to get women in metal.
Right, exactly. I mean, look, I see why some women don't like that term, but in a weird way, that term, like yacht rock and hair metal, is it's how people describe it. I don't know. It's not going away. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's a term that is there. I don't know.
And look, there is something about intent as well, right? If the intent behind it is to disparage it, then I absolutely get it.
Right.
But when I talk about Johnny the Boy as Belinda Cordick being a woman, female fronted black metal band, or Hulder, female fronted black metal band, I mean that incredibly positively, because, like I said, they do something very unique and very interesting, and something that I enjoy very much.
Yeah, I mean, again, intent is the word, and it's just, I don't know. For a lot of people, it's just a description, and then some people, like, if they say it on the social media, someone will jump on them, and it's just like, hey, just relax, But yeah, they're fucking awesome. I'm a big fan.
All right. Okay, my friend, it is time for us to step up to the Porcelain Bowl of Justice for the Swirly of the Week. So I don't know whether you recall this gentleman. You and I actually happened to talk about him last year when he recorded a very lengthy diatribe during which he spoke about Metal Threat at length and suggested
I
that
remember that.
the festival itself shouldn't exist, and many of the people at the festival shouldn't exist either. So his name, for those that don't know, is Endless Cemetery. He is apparently now recovered from the trauma of that particular experience of Metal Threat having taken place. And he's now turned his attention to the Maryland Death Fest that you mentioned earlier.
Oh, see. I didn't even know about it. This is brand new to me. So this beef is brand new.
Well, I mean, the premise is quite familiar. He has posted 3 videos on his channel. And in those 3 videos, he argues that MDF has become a safe haven for white nationalism and neo-Nazism. And he also suggests that if you disagree with him, that makes you a Nazi too.
Oh, well, that's, of course. I mean, you know, I haven't heard his beef, so I can't say anything yet.
I will spare you the agony of sitting through those videos, but I'll give you just a quick summary of the basic argument. So essentially, according to him, the global metal scene is a staging ground for the advancement of white supremacy. Promoters, security staff, festival organizers, and basically any other scene participants are actively encouraging or passively enabling it. T-shirts from bands like Archgoat and Grand Belial's Key are, in his mind, the equivalent of clan robes, and their mere presence creates an atmosphere where Endless Cemetery feels like something is going to, quote-unquote, happen. Along the way, he also informs us that Maryland Death Fest is now some sort of, and he actually calls it an industrial complex, and that organizer Ryan Taylor allegedly received $1 million from his parents to get the festival off the ground. And that's basically the gist of it.
I've never heard that in my life about MDF. I'll just say right out of the gate, I went to MDF once. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful time. There was all sorts of people there, black, white, Asian, male, female, trans. It was, I don't know. I guess I went to a different fest, and every metal show I go to, including the one I went to with Negative Plane, Wrath Prayer, and Antichrist Siege Machine, had everything under the sun at it, and there was no problems at all. So, it's nearly impossible for a fest of that size to police T-shirt wearing, bro. Would you agree?
Yeah. No,
How are you going to
agree.
police T-shirt wearing when the average security guard does not listen to this fucking music, does not know a damn thing about these bands? Let's be honest, okay? You know, what are you going to do if someone is wearing a sketchy band T-shirt? What are you going to you can't police T-shirt wearing. You can't. So that, well,
in many ways, his 3 videos basically come down to that, and I would suggest that the first indication that, you know, these videos are not necessarily a good faith conversation is actually found in his own choice of clothing. If you look at for those watching, Mike, you can see this. If you look at the video, he's wearing a deranged T-shirt while telling us that Archgoat, Grand Belial's Key, also mentions Burzum. Those shirts are the worst of the worst. Now, the same deranged, have in their catalog, and I enjoy deranged music, so I'm not dissing them here. But they have song titles like Ripped, Raped, and Randomized, and many, many songs that focus on sexual violence, mutilation, murder. So here's my question. If an Archgoat shirt is enough to make Endless Cemetery fear for his safety, what about a woman who sees somebody wearing a deranged shirt? Or, what about a Christian walking past somebody wearing a Vital Remains shirt? Is their sense of safety equally valid? Are they entitled to feel threatened as well?
Yes, but the reality is that everyone knows that death metal is fiction, and that horror movies and that kind of crazy violence is part of death metal. There's a difference. Racism is not technically at all a part of any of this. Like, racism sucks. Being a racist sucks. Okay, but it's near impossible to have someone stand at the gates of MDF. I mean, it's twice the size of what it was, I think, since I went there.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You can hate on it though. You can trash talk it, but to kind of shove the organization under a bus, no. I mean, if you really hate it, you probably shouldn't go.
Well, I'll get to that. I mean, my feeling here, and I completely agree with you, and I would say this: if and I watched all 3 videos, there is no point at which he presents evidence of having been harassed, threatened, or intimidated by any of these so-called white nationalists or neo-Nazis or Argo Slent shirt-wearing psychos. If that were the case, then I would absolutely be on his side, and I would say the guys from, or the organizers from MDF need to do better. I don't think that anybody of any stripe, any background, any race should go to a show and be physically attacked because they come from a certain demographic. So I'm 100% with you on that. I think my problem here is he doesn't present any example of any of this happening.
No.
What it instead boils down to is that he's posted 3 videos worth of complaints about T-shirts and complaints about conversations online, complaints about, he even complains in video 3 about Ryan, the organizer, reaching out to him in an apparent attempt to engage in an actual conversation.
Because MDF is not a hate fest. MDF is not about that shit. Look, man, I live in New York City. I go to shows in Queens and Brooklyn. The GBK shirts, majority are worn by not white people. They're Latinos, most of them. And it is what it is. You know, what do we do? Like, these people aren't jumping anybody. They're not attacking anybody. They're metalheads drinking beer and going to metal shows, which is 99% of what MDF is, I would gather. I don't know. Like, if shirts upset you and trigger you, it is what it is. Maybe that, I don't know. I don't want to tell people not to go to places, but it's not up to MDF to police attire unless it's like some crazy fucking blatant, swastika fucking whatever. Obviously they're not letting those people in, but there's just so many people, and what do we do? Like, you know what I'm saying? And especially, like I said, there's just the diversity of people that go to the shows here in New York City is great, and it is really interesting. But I don't know, man. You can't police thought, and it's hard to police attire, although maybe some smaller clubs obviously can police attire, but to shove MDF under the bus that kind of sucks. I mean, it's not their fault.
Well, I think there's a very important distinction here between somebody's right to physical safety and somebody's sense of, or their subjective sense of safety, right? So if like I said, if I ran into Endless Cemetery at a festival and somebody's targeted him because he's African American, I'd happily stand beside him and tell that person to fuck off. But being uncomfortable because somebody's wearing a shirt that you don't, or by a band you don't like, is not the same thing as somebody being threatened. Like you say, like there's a difference between, overt, swastikas, racist slogans and stuff like that, and a fucking T-shirt that's got the Burzum logo on. Metal is a scene that is filled with people who disagree with one another politically, religiously, morally, socially. That's just part and parcel of the scene. And if you've reached a point, which I get the sense he has, where simply existing around people with different views feels intolerable to you, then maybe the problem isn't the festival. You clearly don't enjoy MDF anymore. He actually mentions that he hasn't paid to go to MDF for the last 15 years. I also get the impression he doesn't enjoy the metal scene anymore. So I would suggest that he stop going. He doesn't buy tickets. So it's not like MDF is going to miss his presence, be bereft of his presence. But I think
it's interesting if one of the guys from MDF reached out to him. That means that they're like, they're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, but again, I'm sure he has his friends or whatever, his fans, his followers that agree with everything he's saying. That's okay too. But again, I'm in New York, and right now, like, I don't know, like the metal scene is very diverse and very interesting, and people are just having a good time. There's nobody fighting. There's nobody attacking anybody. I don't know. I'm seeing a very different scene. I don't know.
Well, there's also something in the fact that he refused to have a phone call with Ryan Taylor when Ryan reached out to him. Because that to me speaks of somebody that, one is quite conscious of the seriousness of the allegations that he's making, but also, if you're interested in actually resolving a problem, surely the organizer reaching out to you would then be a great opportunity for you to share your grievances and say, hey, I don't like that J-Dog and Hell's Headbangers selling shirts from Argosland, Grand Belial's Key, and whoever else at the festival. Could you please stop? And here's why I don't like it. But the fact that he declined that and actually seemed to take offense to it, to me, that speaks of somebody who's not entering into this in good faith. And if I look at his channel, his videos about MDF have outperformed the vast majority of everything else that he has posted.
Of course they have. I mean, it's for clicks. It's for clicks. I mean, if you're going to trash somebody, if you're going to trash a fest, an organization, and they reach out to you and you refuse to talk to them, that's on you.
100%. Yeah. And so in the absence of all else, because again, as we say, when it comes to hating racism and not wanting any of that in the scene, I mean, I couldn't stand it. I absolutely abhor it. But in the absence of anything more than just being upset about logos of bands that you disagree with or that you think are suspicious, unfortunately, you have earned your second trip to the Porcelain Bowl of Reckoning, and that, my friends, is the Swirly of the Week. Sheriff, it was an absolute blast as always. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, thank you, man.
And we'll do it again soon.
Yes, we will, man. Take care. Cheers, everybody.
Take care, brother. We are going to finish off with a Urgal track, just because Goatcraft Torment celebrated its 20th anniversary recently, so we need to give that a spin. I am back next Tuesday. I'll see you bad motherfuckers then.